So Dr. Ranjit's team kind of kindly shared me a lot of materials on India's upstream potential, and to be frank, I've not managed to read through all of it in detail, but he's here to tell us all about it. And maybe to get started, Dr. Ranjit Rath, maybe you can kind of share with us a bit about where Oil India is today.
First of all, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be part of the Energy Talk here in the 4th edition of IEW. We are doing about a brief idea about Oil India is that we are the oldest E&P company in this part of the globe. Mm-hmm. The first discovery of hydrocarbon belongs to Oil India Limited. It is 1889 to be precise. Okay. And the story goes that we did discover then 50-meter depth. Okay. And today we are drilling 5,500 to 6,000 meter depth. So that's one dimension of Oil India Limited. The second, we have mastered the art of managing mature reservoirs to kind of address the decline, which is intrinsic to any other mature reservoirs that you are aware. So last 3 to 4 years, we have arrested not only the 10% decline of our reservoir production, we have also scripted it on top of it 2 to 3% growth. Yep. So that's Oil India Limited. The third piece is we have enhanced our exploration acreage to about 1 lakh square kilometer. Out of which 60%, 55% is in offshore waters, and the most latest is about 40,000 square kilometer in the deep water and ultra deep water of Mahanadi and KG Basin. Mm-hmm. So that's Oil India Limited for you. Mm-hmm. The fourth and the final piece is, while we focus on exploration of crude oil and natural gas as part of our efforts, we have also diversified into critical minerals, where we foresee that there is a commonality of application of technology in terms of our exploration know-how. So that's Oil India Limited for you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks very much for the explanation. And I think it's really interesting you mentioned the point that you are actually seeing an increase in your domestic production. I think if I'm not mistaken, you've seen the highest gas production, I think, over the last year, and you've seen growth in crude oil production as well. And it's really hard to achieve that from a maturing kind of oil field or maturing basin, if that makes sense. And as far as I know, there's a lot of workovers, there's a lot of kind of like technology that goes in to squeeze every single bit out of kind of the areas that you are operating today. I think my question here is, do you think that would be continued over the next 5, 10, 15 years as part of your core strategy? Or would you think that you move a lot more into what you mentioned, the new areas, the exploration side of the business as well?
Just to give you a context, there are two ways of doing exploration. Mm-hmm. One is the near field exploration, right. One is the rank exploration. Mm-hmm. And while rank exploration would always remain the mainstay for any E&P company, if you don't do near field exploration and do reserve replacement ratio accrual of 1 year on year, you would not have enough cash in hand to carry out rank exploration. Right. So it is actually both that we are doing. Mm-hmm. As far as our efforts to enhance production is concerned, while we do near field exploration, we have also enhanced our crude oil production through massive workover operations. Yep. We have studied our near field opportunities. We have studied our near miss opportunities. We have reprocessed our data, both geophysical logging data and then the seismic data that is available to maintain the reservoir replacement ratio. That's one. Second, what we intend to do, and I would like to share with you and the audience, 3 years ago, Oil India was drilling about 30 plus wells, which was both exploratory and development. Today, this year, we are going to touch 75. So that's the number. Every year on year, last 3 years, our growth in terms of our drilling effort is about 35%. Yep. In a similar manner, while we scripted last year the highest ever production of crude oil and natural gas together, that was the result of the active and enhanced drilling and workover operations, and that was also highest last year. So that's the kind of effort which is required not only to produce but also to generate enough internal accrual to pursue your exploration.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, and it's really interesting to highlight the point that near field exploration is interesting. Maybe moving on to the other part of that conversation around kind of like, I would say, looking at exploration in new areas, new frontiers, new plays, and new basins. Can you share a bit more about your thoughts on that? And I think there's been a huge round being launched last year. And of course, definitely you also have partnerships there. Are you able to share a bit more about what you're doing?
To give you a context, earlier we inherited this nomination blocks, which was given by the government for under lease. But after that, we had a decade or so, which is called new exploration licensing policy, where it was primarily production sharing contract. And then 2016, a new regime was created, which is called HELP, where production sharing contract was replaced by revenue sharing contract. And India, we have 3 varieties of sedimentary basins. You must have heard today morning when Honorable Minister announced, we have about 3.3 million square kilometer of area in terms of sedimentary basin. So the focus was, how do we enhance our exploration under HELP? So an open acreage licensing policy framework was created. And Oil India today has got about 39 blocks of OLP, and where we have 1 lakh square kilometer plus areas for exploration. Now, while we talk about, our focus remained in onshore, but also in offshore as well. We have got 2 offshore shallow water blocks in Kerala Konkan Basin. As we speak, we intend to drill, and we are drilling the deepest well in this part of the globe, 6,000 meters from a water depth of 60 meters. And we are also drilling the 3rd well in our Andaman Basin, which is a shallow water well, after establishing reported occurrence of natural gas in the 2nd well, which corroborates the extensive gas field that we have south of Andaman and north of Andaman. And the idea is that this gas presence has corroborated that Andaman remains the mainstay. It is a petroliferous basin. We are kick-started the appraisal process. We have reprocessed the 2D seismic data. We are mounting a campaign of about 600 square kilometer for 3D seismic appraisal. And under OLP 9, we have already got 40,000 square kilometer of area in Mahanadi and KG Basin. These are all deep water blocks, for which we got the block in May 2025. And just to kind of display our keenness in pursuing exploration, we have already acquired 4,200 line kilometers of 2D seismic in that 40,000 square kilometer area. And our target is to acquire 5,200 3D seismic, of which 36% is already collected. The preliminary data in terms of the petroleum system modeling studies reveals very, very promising outlook. So we are keenly planning our deep water drilling campaign.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think it echoes a lot of what, at least kind of I'm hearing, speaking to a lot of different stakeholders around the world, that Andaman is extremely exciting. Of course, you've seen success in Indonesia, North Sumatra. You've seen, and of course in Thailand as well. There's been quite a lot of interest in Thailand's Andaman Basin as well. And so, everyone's looking at that area as like, that's kind of the next large exploration hotspot where we can find material gas primarily, if that makes sense. And of course, I think if kind of what you've shared with us, a lot of it is really the fact that there's a lot of confidence in the hydrocarbon system. There's a lot of confidence that there are resources there. And maybe if you can share with us your thoughts on kind of like maybe what are some of the key challenges in kind of making these new basins work?
To me, actually, we don't foresee any major challenge. In fact, these offshore frontier areas were not available for exploration. It was as late as 2022 when the path-breaking reform has happened, and government unlocked about 1 million square kilometer of area in the exclusive economic zone of Indian subcontinent, both East Coast and West Coast, and also the Andaman Nicobar Basin. As far as preparedness is concerned, we are very well prepared. We have got a collaboration, it's a public information. We have a collaboration with TotalEnergies, which is supporting us or assisting us not only in terms of the preliminary seismic design for data acquisition, but also even for location release and well design. In fact, one more interesting thing which the Government of India has recently done, and I must put emphasis on, while the focus was through the National Seismic Program, acquire 2D seismic data in the exclusive economic zone, which will be beneficial for the bidding purpose. About 400 million US dollar campaign called stratigraphic well. 4 of them are planned to be drilled by ONGC and Oil India. And there also there is a mandate that both ONGC and Oil India will collaborate with international oil companies to not only smoothen the process of seismic API, but also release process and carry out these drilling campaigns. And to give you an idea, we are talking about a water depth of 2,500 meters and a depth of well from the seabed is about 4 to 6,000 meters. So we are also ready for that. And as a matter of preparedness, we have already done a lot of studies in terms of petroleum system modeling. And we are currently evaluating the ongoing, the biggest offshore bidding campaign probably being done in this part of the globe. 1.82 lakh square kilometer, out of which 90% is offshore waters. So that is the area it is kind of go-to for exploration.
Yeah, and I can imagine just once all of these drilling campaigns get going, it's going to be really, really busy. And I think that's really, really exciting as well. I think coming back to the question that you had around, you mentioning the fact that you are partnering with TotalEnergies, I guess from Oil India's perspective, from your strategy perspective, are you still trying to bring in new partners and try to explore different areas? And kind of from your perspective as well, how are you thinking about the partnership journey that you will be having with TotalEnergies and with kind of potential other partners as well?
Actually, to me, it's like this. Often it is said that geography is destiny. That is a colloquial view of economics putting it. To me, geology is destiny. Being a geologist at heart, we strongly believe that the upstream segment, as far as India is concerned, has not done enough in terms of its exploration efforts. So this is where co-petition or collaboration is a need, because not only the basinal analysis globally is essential to study, but also the learnings of other basins is also very, very important to adopt and do course corrections. So we are open to any other collaboration, and for which we are working with all the international oil companies. And this is where we find that these platforms like IEW or ADIPEC for that matter gives us that bandwidth of reaching out and sharing our thought process and the opportunity that India offers today with the IOCs and NOCs, and a lot of traction is happening. In fact, to tell you, having acquired the 40,000 square kilometer of deep and ultra deep water and the results that we have seen so far, and the OLP 10 bidding round that we are looking at, we are in talking terms with several IOCs and NOCs for possible collaboration.
So that effectively means that they could potentially look at farming into your assets and not necessarily just from a kind of a technical study partner as well. Is that correct to put it that way?
When we look at collaboration, we don't restrict ourselves. We're open to ideas. A couple of ideas, one can just be a joint bidding opportunity. One is a technology service agreement where there is a first right of refusal opportunity. There could be a situation where the first well could be a joint investment decision with a percentage sharing. Because what we strongly feel, unlike the other sectors where competition brings value or improvement in the processes and systems, upstream is a process where collaboration is a need. And cooperation is a need, because here it is not about risk sharing, because my financial friends would definitely look at hedging the risks. We totally agree with that. But what is more important is to take that $1 million, rather $1 billion question of releasing that location. So as Oil India Limited, since we understand the business of upstream and subsurface geology, we are agreeing to any such possibilities of course correction to identify that billion-dollar question location.
Yep. Thank you for sharing. And I think one thought just popped to mind. You can, yeah, and I'm not sure if that's been discussed as well. We've seen quite a bit of something called strategic partnerships being developed, right? And strategic ventures. So one example would be in Malaysia and Indonesia, where Petronas and ENIs come together to create that strategic venture. We have that in Europe as well. Is that something that has been discussed in India with any of the partners? If you can share, I guess.
No, if I think I'll share the concept.
Yeah.
Look, globally, you would see whether we take it Kazakhstan, we take Azerbaijan, we take North Sea, we take Gulf Coast, we take Santos Basin, we take Angola, wherever.
Yeah.
We often observe that it is the national oil companies and the local government does that first bit. And then the IOCs collaborate. They don't compete after they figure out. So that's the story which will unfold in India as well. And we strongly believe that it is the responsibility of the national oil companies like Oil India and ONGC to first establish the presence or the possibility of petroliferous basin or such beautiful spots as they say in the seismic imaging, be it at 4,000 meter, it really doesn't matter because India is an energy hungry country. And then that would actually encourage international oil companies or national oil companies to collaborate. And that's the approach we are adopting.
Yep. Thanks. And I think it's really, really interesting on the fact that you mentioned here in terms of proving the hydrocarbon systems. And I think that's, one of the key attractiveness of India and the fact that I guess the government and through the national oil companies, they are looking to help de-risk a lot of the plays and the basins that you have today, right? And that really allows for more international companies to come in, I would say, with more information to make educated decisions as they go through, I would say, the life cycle of that asset or that investment, if that makes sense. And from a data perspective as well, there's a lot of data being collected. And of course, at the same time, you mentioned a lot about learning from other places, analogs that's required to kind of make you think more creatively about that hydrocarbon system as well. And of course, there's been a lot of conversations around AI and using AI to support that analysis. Where is Oil India on that journey?
In fact, I'll just step back a bit. While data is essential, it was essential from creating an exploration ecosystem in the country. If you look at the recent developments, enough traction was getting created, but the legislative framework was in the offing. Last year, with that flagship reform of Oil Field Regulation and Development Amendment Act has created a path-breaking opportunity. Three key technical facets of it. It has been decriminalized, that's the first part of it. But what entices us more is the unitization process which it allows. It also allows, should there be an extension of reservoirs, while mapping, you could redraw your boundaries. And the best part is, as part of the current initiative of Samudra Manthan, which is in the making, and Honorable PM has already announced, and all of us also heard it today in Honorable Prime Minister's opening remark about Samudra Manthan, the creation of common infrastructure for these deep water and ultra deep water field developments, should there be a discovery, is going to be the game changer. Now, while all this is happening, what we realize that is the adoption of AI is part of the upstream processes. The first thing that we have already done in Oil India Limited, and that's the global practice, and that's where we are also seeking collaboration or technology development, is the processing time. We strongly believe while the selection of the location to drill would continue to be the mainstay of the geologist or the reservoir engineer's mind, the processing time and then the interpretation process could be hastened. Because earlier we were doing about 3,000 square kilometer, 2,000 line kilometers in onshore. but the extensive exploration requirement that is required today in the deep and ultra deep water of India, the OLP 9 campaign, the OLP 10 campaign, the number of wells that we are going to drill, unless we hasten the processing and interpretation time, we are missing big time. So that is where we see that there is a major role of AI and ML coming into picture. So high performance computing will be a need, and Oil India has already made strides into it and already prepared itself.
Oh, thank you very much. And what about from a kind of like the development perspective as well, right? So the first part is exploration, the other part here is this development construction. Do you think there's a role for that to play, or still early days at this point in time?
No, development is something we strongly believe. If you discover a gas pool of say 6 TCF to 11 TCF or a Guyana-like field of $10 billion barrel, development will happen. What is important is exploration. Development will follow. If you have FLNGs, they can be brought in. If you need to have subsea manifolds, they can be created. Now, to me, if we can fast track exploration and establish a reservoir, then the time to produce becomes crucial.
Correct.
We do not foresee, as far as any challenge is concerned, to develop. But what matters, how soon we can monetize it. We are actually observing the global best practices which is happening elsewhere, and we would prepare ourselves, but the current focus is exploration.
Thank you very much. And I think, as you mentioned as well, the reforms from a regulatory perspective that you have, that's been put in place as well, really helps to kind of like put in the rules, I would have to say, in terms of how certain fields can be developed, especially if it kind of falls outside of the boundaries of what we see as drawn in the blocks, and really helps with kind of that development process as well. We are running out of time, I would have to say, and I think what I'm hearing from you is this, right? I think one is that there's a lot of, I would say, potential for India's upstream industry, especially from an exploration perspective. There's lots of hydrocarbons that are in place that could still be discovered. The regulations are here, or have been kind of made. Yeah, it's been placed now to kind of help accelerate a lot of it. It really does sound extremely positive from a potential perspective for India to continue to prosper from an oil and gas perspective. I guess coming back to Oil India and kind of your thoughts of where India will be, and more specifically where Oil India will be over the next 10 years, kind of if you have a kind of like crystal ball forecast, what would you say that would be?
If I could gaze the crystal ball, 2030, not 2040, we should have a big commercial discovery. That's it. The story will unfold after that.
So one that kind of underpins
one commercial big discovery for India. That's it.
And then everything else will fall and come into place.
Everything else will fall in place.
Well, I guess let's look forward to that large discovery. Hopefully it's kind of one of yours as well. So thank you everyone for being here today. I hope that was an interesting discussion. And of course, for those that are interested in investing in India, please do reach out, please come. There's lots of opportunities here for everyone to invest in as well. So thank you.